Hey YouTubers! Going off script today, I just came up with an interesting idea about 20 minutes ago involving Game of Thrones, and I just wanted to share this with you guys as soon as possible, so don't mind if I do a lot of rambling in this video, but I think it's a pretty cool idea. So, this month I've been writing a story idea that does involve a planet with multiple moons. And before I started writing all this out, I was doing some research over how would the world be different if we had multiple moons, or say a larger moon or no moon at all, and was comparing each of the things. And I noticed something really weird about moons that I didn't quite know beforehand. Moons actually affect the seasons. Like, they actually affect the axis of the planet, which I knew the axis was involved in why we have a steady pattern of seasons, but I never fully realized that the moon was part of how this worked. Essentially, it stabilizes the tilt of the Earth. We do wobble a little bit, but our moon, because it is so big and so close, that it somehow just sort of keeps us fairly steady, like a nice, helpful hand, like when you're like on a ladder. But I found out if our moon was, say, a bit smaller, or if we had no moon at all, we would have extreme weather, we would have more ice ages, more global warming, etc., and it would just wobble all the time, and you could never really tell how things would change. So, what I'm thinking is that the reason Game of Thrones has this strange seasonal change isn't necessarily magic, although it might be, but it might be because the moon in Planetos is actually a lot smaller. Now, you might think that that would be something that would show up at some point in the story, but really it wouldn't when you think about it. Like, in my own story that I'm currently doing, I'm trying to exposition the hell to explain why my planet has like weird numbers of hours, or that it has multiple moons. Because if you live in that planet, you would only know how things work on that planet. Especially if you're more a medieval era like in Game of Thrones. So really, George R. R. Martin has no reason, no need to justify that there is a smaller moon. He doesn't ever have to mention it, because the people on that planet don't have a point of reference to suggest, hey, other planets have bigger moons or smaller moons. They wouldn't know. They just know the moon. It's certainly large enough that you can see how it goes through the phases. I mean, Bran chapters, once he was with the three-eyed crow, were completely just based on what the moon cycle was like, to keep track of things. So you know it's big enough for that, but it might not necessarily be as large as our moon is. So it's very likely that that is what is affecting Planetos and how its seasons are messed up. And then a second thought occurred to me that might be interesting. Somehow, I was wondering if there were any clues to the moon being the way it is, and I immediately thought of that Dothraki woman, or was it the Dothraki, or was it... No, I think she might be from Lys. When she was telling Daenerys that the moon is really an egg, and there used to be two moons, one of them cracked open, and dragons flew out and came into the world, which is an interesting thought. Because first of all, if you had two moons, that means there might have been a time where the seasons were actually more stable, because you might have had two moons that hopefully would have tried to help the axis be a bit more steady, or more wild. To be honest, I'm not an astrophysicist, I wouldn't quite know this. But it could have been easier in life beforehand. They could have had steadier seasons and allowed for life to thrive more before this dragon egg fiasco one day occurred on the planet. Which also means that they might actually crack open again, and then they'll be severely fucked. Because apparently if we have no moon, you either have no seasons, or extreme seasons all the time, so you have no idea. It's like a flip of a coin for this situation. And a third idea is maybe that might be why Daenerys is referred to her husband, Khadrogo, as Moon of My Life. Maybe she is, because she's referenced as the moon, might be a reference to how the moon was once a dragon egg, and so that egg cracked open and burst forth life of dragons, as she became the mother of dragons, so perhaps there's a parallel there. I don't know. So these are my ramblings. I don't know if anyone else has ever talked about this subject before, but this was just such a cool idea that occurred to me that I figured I just wanted to share it with you guys. Let me know what you think, and I hope you forgive me for my ramblings, and I hope you like this video. If you do, like, subscribe, give some comments, share it around, let me know what you think, and I will see you after I finally get forward with finishing NaNoWriMo and the story with multiple moons. So, until next time.